For those of you who know what this is, you will probably know that I'm about to teach you how to make popovers. But for those of you who don't know, this is a popover pan. Now, I will leave a link in the description below to this popover pan, but you can also use a 12 count muffin tin, but they will be short and squatty, where these are going to be huge and puffy. Now, you want your oven preheated to 450 degrees. Now you want to spray your muffin tin or your popover pan. You want to spray it thoroughly with a high temperature oil. Like this that I'm using is an olive oil spray, but it's Graza, and it's the new frizzle that they have put out that is good for frying. No, I am not a Graza affiliate. I just really love the product. So you want to do something neutral, something that can handle high heat, because now you want to put this in your preheated 450 degree oven to let this preheat while you are making the batter. Now, to make our batter, I am choosing to use a batter bowl because it has a spout, because that will make it much easier to pour into the popover pan. I have 4 large eggs that I have left out so that they are pretty much room temperature. Now you want to beat those up really well. You want them starting to get nice and frothy and foamy. Now you are going to add 1.5 cups of milk. I am using whole milk. You can use 2%. I would not recommend skim. Now you want to, once again, beat it really hard until you start to get a lot of foaminess. It's very important to get as much air into this batter as you can possibly get in there. And see, you've got a lot of bubbles on top. Now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt to that. And you want to whip it again. After each addition, you want to whip it more. Now this is 3 tablespoons of salted butter that I have melted and cooled. Now you want to drizzle it in while you are whipping. You want to make sure that it is cooled so that it doesn't curdle your eggs. Now, if you noticed when I was showing you the popover pan, I had it sitting on a cookie sheet. That is actually very important because popovers can tend to spill over the oil, and while that may not be a problem to you, I do not feel like cleaning the oven because it will be a total mess in the oven and will burn very quickly at 450 degrees. Now you want to whip this until you're starting to get a lot of foam again, which we're there. And now we are going to add 1.5 cups of flour. This is just regular all-purpose flour. You don't have to use bread flour or cake flour or any specialty flour for this. Now you want to whip it while you are putting in that 1.5 cups of flour. Now you want to beat it really hard and get all the lumps out. You don't want to overwork the gluten, but at the same time you want to get air into this, as much air as you possibly can. Now, as you can see, there's all kinds of bubbles on top. That's where you want it. Now, as you can see, I'm using a little half moon whisk. To me, that works the best to get enough air into it. It works better than a balloon whisk. You could also do it in a blender or with an immersion blender. But I always find that I get a better puff if I just beat it by hand. Now I've got my popover pan pulled out of the 450 degree preheated oven. Now these instructions are very specific, and I will tell you while I'm pouring the batter into the popover pan. This is why I am using a batter bowl, so that I can pour easily into this hot pan. You want to fill it almost to the top. You want to bake these in a 450 degree preheated oven for 20 minutes. Then, without opening the oven door, while you are baking popovers, never open the oven door because it will impede the puff. So you want to make sure that without opening the oven door, you turn the oven down at that point to 350 degrees. You will bake them for another 20 minutes at at 350 degrees. The reason you start out on a high temperature and lower to a lower temperature is the high temperature will start to set the puff, and the lower temperature will finish baking them so that they're fully done and the puff is set, and the puff will finish rising at that point. So remember, put this in your 450 degree preheated oven for 20 minutes. Lower the temperature to 350 for 20 more minutes. No peeking. These beauties are out of the oven. They have puffed beautifully.
Holy heck.
To keep them from deflating and release some steam, you want to poke them really good with a knife. And they will deflate some. When the air hits them, they will deflate some. But you want to poke them really good to make sure they release steam and they don't collapse as much on themselves. Now when you go to get them out, they may stick a little bit, but it's just fine. Just take a butter knife, run around the edge, and they'll pop right out. As you can see, they deflate just a little bit, not a ton though. These are some of the most perfect popovers I've ever made, I have to admit.
Those are amazing.
Because you can have pop unders, which don't really puff much. You can have popovers, which are like these, or you can have pop uglies, which the ends of them are all curled up. The end that's in the muffin cup is all curled up. Those I call pop uglies. These are not pop uglies.
No, that's cool. That's awesome.
These, you're gonna love them.
Very impressive, Angelakay.
You are gonna love them, and you're gonna impress anybody that you make these for. But they're not that hard to make, as you saw. They're actually very easy to make. So remember, come back next time to Angelakayskitchen, where I take you from gourmet to everyday and everything in between. God bless.
All right, so here's this beautiful popover, which I adore eating, just to be honest with you. I can already tell you it tastes good because they always taste good. And Angela makes them every year, has been making them for years. But now they're especially good since we have our own chickens. So here it is, just so we can make sure, right? So good. No, they're hollow inside a little bit, see? Okay. But they're amazing. All the body to them is up here in this top piece. So flavorful, so good. Just, again, she made 6 of them. We're not gonna eat 6 of them tonight. They're really good tomorrow too, and they don't even have to be. Only have to be warm. They're good room temperature to cool. To be honest, I put them in my cooler bag, take them to work. They're a little cold. I do not care. They're still delicious, and Angelakay can still stick and cook, y'all.